Hello and welcome. Today we're going to talk about something that, well, many of us will face at some point in our lives. It's that profound and, let's be honest, often really challenging journey of caring for the people who first cared for us. It's a path that asks a lot of us, but it's also one filled with immense love and, believe it or not, some unexpected growth. And isn't that just the truth? You know, this whole journey, it usually doesn't start with a big, conscious decision. It's more like a feeling, a call you just have to answer. It's a total rerouting of your own life, and it's guided by love, leading you right back to the people who helped you take your very first steps. So if you feel like your life is being rerouted right now, this is for you. It almost always starts quietly. You might just notice a little tremor in a hand that you've always known to be so steady. Or maybe you see a flicker of confusion in their eyes, the same eyes that always seem to have all the answers. These small, subtle signs of vulnerability, they're like the first whispers of a new season in life. For them, and for you too. So, let's start right there, with that very first phase, just recognizing that there's a shift happening. This is where your awareness starts to kick in, and you begin to realize that, maybe the usual rhythm of just visiting every now and then, well, it might need to change to something more consistent. Okay, so the signs we should be looking for, they're often hiding in plain sight, in the little details of everyday life. Experts call these challenges with activities of daily living, but really, we're just talking about things like seeing a pile of mail that hasn't been opened, or noticing they've missed a few doses of their medication. Maybe you find food in the fridge that's way past its date, or you spot a few new scrapes on the car. These aren't usually big, dramatic events. They're just quiet little signals that tell you managing life on their own is getting a bit harder. And as you start picking up on these signs, it can hit you with this huge, complicated wave of emotions. It is completely normal to feel a sense of grief for the future you had all planned out, for the path you thought you were on. And at the same time, you can feel so much pride and love for stepping up. It's not about choosing one feeling over the other. It's about making room for both. Navigating that emotional space often means you have to completely rearrange your own life map. A lot of people find that this new role means putting their career on hold or maybe some personal goals. And it is so important to reframe this in your mind. This pause that you might feel. It is not a step backward. It's not a failure. It is a profound, incredibly courageous act of pure devotion. You're making a choice to show up for the people who always showed up for you. So, recognizing the need, that's step one. The next step is to move from that really emotional space into a much more practical one. Now it's time to get a crystal clear picture of the situation, what they need, and just as important, what you need. This can feel like a huge, overwhelming task, right? But breaking it down into these 4 key areas really helps. So, medical needs, that's more than just meds. It's about making sure all their doctors are on the same page. Home safety means literally walking through their house looking for things like loose rugs that could be trip hazards, or thinking about simple things like grab bars in the shower. Financial stability is just about making sure bills get paid so you can avoid a crisis down the road. And then there's emotional wellness, which gets overlooked all the time. And right here, this is the crucial equation for making this whole thing sustainable. It's not just about what they need. It's about what you can realistically give. And this part requires, honestly, a radical degree of honesty with yourself. How's your own health, both physical and mental? How much time can you actually commit without burning out or sacrificing your own family? Do you live next door, or are you a plane ride away? You have to remember, sustainable, loving care is built on this kind of self-awareness, not on guilt. Okay. So all this assessing and planning, it's all building toward what might be the most delicate part of this entire process, actually talking to your parents about it. And trust me, how you start this conversation matters just as much as what you're going to say. This is such a powerful tool, seriously. Instead of saying something like, "You can't drive anymore," which just shuts the conversation down, you could say, "I worry when I think about you driving at night." See the difference? Instead of, "You need help," which sounds like an accusation, you could try, "I wonder if we could find someone to help out with the yard work." This whole approach, it's about expressing your concern in a way that invites them to be a part of the solution. It opens the door to partnership instead of slamming it shut with a fight. It is so critical to understand the emotional stuff that's happening under the surface here. Psychologists have a term for it, role reversal. Think about it. The person who always protected you, who provided for you, now they need your protection. It can feel deeply weird and disorienting, and frankly, a little painful for everybody involved. Just naming that feeling, just acknowledging how strange and difficult it is, that's a huge first step in navigating it with some grace.
Look, resistance is a totally normal human reaction. It usually comes from a really deep fear of losing their independence. So, how do you handle it? Well, you start these conversations before there's a crisis. You always frame your help as a partnership. Say things like, let's figure this out together. You can even say, I know this is a really hard adjustment. And maybe most importantly, you have to find ways to honor their autonomy. Let them make choices whenever it's safe about what they eat, what they wear, their daily schedule. It makes all the difference.
This brings us to probably the most vital message in all of this. It's the thing that can make the difference between just getting through it and actually thriving. And it's this: you cannot and you should not do this alone. Caregiving is a team sport. It's time to build your village. I really want you to let this one sink in. Reaching out for support, it's not a sign of weakness. It's not a sign you have failed. It is a sign of incredible wisdom and strength. It makes sure your parent is getting the best care from a whole team, and it protects you from the very real danger of burnout. Asking for help is an act of love for everyone involved. And the good news is, help really does exist in so many different forms. It might be professional medical help, like a visiting nurse. It could be community stuff, like a meal delivery service or an adult day program that provides some much-needed social time. And don't forget your own network. Family and friends can be invaluable, even if it's just for a weekly phone call to check in. Oh, and definitely don't overlook your local area agency on aging. They are these amazing hubs for connecting you to all sorts of local support you probably didn't even know existed. You've probably heard this before, but it's the absolute mantra for any caregiver. You cannot pour from an empty vessel. It's just true. If you run yourself into the ground physically and emotionally, you are not going to be able to help anyone. So protecting your own well-being, it isn't selfish. It is the absolute foundation of providing good, sustainable, loving care. So what does that actually look like day to day? First, you have to set firm, realistic boundaries. Be honest about what you can do and what you can't. Second, you must schedule time for yourself, for rest, for your hobbies, for your own health, and you have to treat that time with the same seriousness as a doctor's appointment for your parent. And third, find people to talk to. Study after study shows that having social support is the #1 thing that protects you from burnout. A support group, a therapist, you need a safe space to vent with people who truly get it. As we start to wrap up, I want to offer one last, really powerful way to look at all of this. It is so easy to see this chapter of your life as a detour, as something that's interrupting your real life. But what if this is your life right now? What if this path, with all of its challenges, is actually the most direct route to discovering a capacity for patience and empathy and grace that you never even knew you had? This is the legacy that you're building, one small moment at a time. It's not something you can write on a resume. It's not measured in a bank account. It's written in those quiet moments of vulnerability, in all those acts of service that no one else sees, and in the love you give when it matters the most. These chapters, they become the very core of your personal story. They reveal your character in a way that nothing else ever could. Ultimately, every meal you prepare, every appointment you drive to, every hand you hold in the middle of the night, these are the sentences that are writing your legacy. It's a testament to your heart and to your strength. So the question I want to leave you with is this: when you look back on this time, what will your legacy of love say?